very good morning to you all children. In yesterday's class, we discussed about how to separate the mixtures of solids which do not dissolve in liquids. Two methods, that is sedimentation and decantation, and also about loading. Today's class, let us discuss about the remaining two methods of separation, that is filtration and centrifugation. So filtration, you are familiar with the word filtration in your lower classes also, I think children. So filtration is a process of separating insoluble solids from a liquid. Process of separating insoluble solids from a liquid using a fine porous material called as filter. You might have observed your mother also using filter, children, in our day-to-day life. So I will just show you. This is called as a filter. So here we have this fine porous. Porous means small, which is having small holes. So fine porous material called as filter. So this filter she will be using for making to separate the tea leaves. After preparing the tea, to separate the tea leaves from the tea, your mother will be using this, which is called as a tea filter. So this filter is called as a tea filter. So filtration is a process of separating the insoluble solids. So here the tea leaves are insoluble solids which is getting separated by a fine porous material, and that is nothing but called as a filter. Okay children. So here when your mother is just pouring the tea in this, the tea leaves will be at the top itself. It gets filtered and only the tea will be coming down. So the clean solution which is coming down, that is nothing but called as a filtrate. The tea which is separated from the tea leaves, that tea is called as a filtrate. And the solid residue left on the filter paper. So generally when we do the experiments, we use filter paper. In our day-to-day life, we use this tea filter. So here when she is filtering it, you can see the solid particles which are deposited. So this solid particles which is left in the filter, that is nothing but called as a residue. Okay, the solid particles which are left in the tea filter is called as a residue. The clean solution which is coming down, that is nothing but called as a filtrate. Okay children, so some of the examples of filters which we use are muslin cloth, filter paper, cotton wool, charcoal, fine sand, etc. So all these are the examples of filters which we use in our day-to-day life. So what are the applications of this filtration? The applications of this filtration are to separate the tea leaves from tea. So we can separate the tea leaves from the tea using this filter, and even in waterworks department to purify the water which we are getting from the rivers or the canals, that has to be purified. So that purification in that water work department also, to purify the water, we use the method called as filtration. So what are the filters which are used there? The filters which are used there in the water work department are sand and gravel. So the sand and gravel will be acting as a filter, and that filter will be helping to purify the water. Means all the impurities will be deposited there itself, and the remaining pure water will be sent for the other purification work. Okay children. So here we use sand and gravel to filter very large quantities of water. So after getting filtrated, the pure water will be to the pure water they will be adding the chlorine, and that will be sent to kill the microorganisms which are present in it, and that will be sent to the pump house like water tanks, and from there we will be getting the water. So the applications of this filtration is in the waterworks department to purify the water, and also to separate the tea leaves from the tea. Okay children. Now coming to the last technique, that is centrifugation. So what is centrifugation? Centrifugation is a method which is used to separate the fine particles suspended in a liquid. To separate the fine particles suspended in a liquid by rotating the mixture to a high speed. So when we rotate the mixture to the high speed, what happens? The heavier particles tend to settle down. The heavier particles will tend to settle down at the bottom of the container, while the lighter ones or the lighter particles, they stay at the top. So this method is nothing but called as centrifugation, and this centrifugation is done by a machine called as centrifuge. In our day-to-day life, you might have seen your mother using a churner. So this is called as a churner, children, where she will be keeping this in the what you call it as a curd, and she churns it. It will be rotated to a very high speed. This is called as a churner. So when you rotate it to a very high speed, what happens if you pour water, the lighter particles will be floating and the heavier particles will be settling down. So like just rotating the centrifuge to a high speed. Here this is called as churner, but the machine which is used is called as a centrifuge. So at home we use churner. Okay, so when you rotate it to a high speed, the lighter particles will be floating. That is how she separates the butter from the buttermilk, and the heavier particles will be settling down. So this is the one of the application which we use in our day-to-day life to separate. So we are using it has different applications, that is to get the cream from the milk by using a churner. So this is a churner. We get a cream from the milk, even butter from the cream. Okay, and even in dairy farms where we get the ice creams and all, we get no ice cream, butter, ghee, all these are, they are all obtained by using this churner method only. And even in our washing machines also we use the churner in the sense a centrifuge. It is also using the principle called as centrifugation, where the clothes will be rotated to a high speed. I think you might have observed it, isn't it? So washing machine also to separate the dirt from clothes. So when you see the washing machine, it is rotating, it rotates to a high speed, and the dirt which is present in the clothes will be removed. Okay children, the heavier particles will be settling down and only the lighter particles will be floating on the surface. Okay children, so this method is called as centrifugation. So centrifugation is used in the dairy farms and even at our homes to separate the butter from the buttermilk, and also to remove the dirt from the clothes, especially in the washing machine. So these two are the techniques of separation which are used to separate the solids which do not dissolve in liquid. So totally we have learned 4 techniques, that is loading, sedimentation and decantation, and filtration. The last one is centrifugation. So tomorrow's class we will discuss about how to separate the immiscible liquids. Okay children, thank you. Have a wonderful day.